Speaking of a great pair of tits, all right, let's bring her in now. Becky, yeah, we're going to volleyball, we're going to serve, and we're going to rotate in. Becky Desmoni in the house. Back for an encore. I'm sure that's not the introduction that she wanted.
Looks great,
but sorry, her hair looks great. Put your headphones on, please. And first, your emotions to last night, today, and where we're at.
Well, I'm a conservative, so my emotions are pretty in check.
There you go. I get it. She's not going to go rip buildings down and knock down plywood.
I'm happy that we have steps to it being over.
Yeah.
And
it being what?
The deciding who our president could possibly be.
Yeah.
I'm happy that things are starting to move, that we might have an answer to something else, and we can just move on.
Yeah, move on. Do you want any relief? I mean, I know you're after Trump, but when it's done, don't you think that will be just a good, time out for the country for
if what
if Biden
what?
Is in
a good time out for the country? I don't believe Biden being president is good for the country in any shape or form.
You don't think the calm has value?
No, okay, calm. You ever have a boss that drives you crazy? He's a hard ass boss, but you produce, and the company does better because your boss is a hard ass and says, "Hey, Brian, if you don't pick up your work ethic or a coach, you're off the fucking team." You play. I like guys like that.
So
that's
the country's
Trump.
going to have phantom pains for like a postpartum depression, like the TDS crowd at least. They're going to miss that day-to-day angst.
I didn't have any angst. No, it was the left giving angst.
No, I'm talking about the left. I'm talking about the Trump derangement syndrome crowd, which is a real thing. Sorry, Mike. I think they will miss that.
Yeah, where they're going to hit. That's the point is this: where are they going to go when the next black guy's shot in the middle of the street? Where they're going to talk when 50,000 more COVID deaths happen with all the masks on, and the cases go up. You can't blame Trump.
I know.
What's going to happen?
I feel like Trump's an outlet for a lot of people.
Of course.
For their anger.
Of course.
So, I mean, it used to be like that for me, too. So I can kind of speak personally on this.
He's a lightning rod.
So it's just, if they don't have that, I don't know where that anger is going to come out.
Or if they don't want to take responsibility for their own actions, their own situation, they can dump it on him.
There's a little bit that every president can always blame his predecessor, and Trump does that too. So it could be like, still cleaning up the mess. Eventually, there's going to have to be an agenda, and the problem I think that the Democrats are going to have is they are not in any way the same page as a party. There's the progressive wing who feels let down by the whole process. You know, Bernie's followers didn't turn out the way that he wanted to. Right. There's the gang of, what are they? The gang of four, the AOC and her
plus
posse.
3,
them.
There's
the old wing. There's sort of the Buttigieg Yang wing. They're not really on the same page. They don't really have party leadership. I don't know where that goes, and I think if nothing really changes, the midterms in 2 years, Pelosi's going to be out of a job, and you're going to be able to you get nothing done.
Right.
See, I think there too that a lot of the Democrats have a hard time holding their elected officials accountable. You know, I think when Trump says he's going to do this and that, I think Republicans are more like, okay, well, are you going to get this done? You said you are. They want to see action taken. Where I'm just going to take the Platinum Plan, for example. I feel like if Trump wins, I think the black community is going to try to hold him very accountable for making sure that's executed. Like, hey, we gave you this vote. Now you need to produce this for us. Where if Biden wins and he has his plan, I don't think people are going to be as
I think the white community would
and
hold
say,
up.
hey, you need we were holding you accountable. They're just going to assume they might get it done. If they don't, they'll be like, okay, well, whatever.
I think the white community that voted for Trump will hold him just as accountable, because we'd be like, listen, we gave you this vote and we stood up for you. We defended you, saying that you're not a racist and things like that.
Do you think that the third party that everybody's itching for can come out of the black community?
No.
You don't. You don't think all the black leadership and the money and the that's not happening.
I haven't seen anything leading up to that to show me there's any kind of dynamism coming out of that part of the world.
What Ice Cube was doing over there, like the Democrat Party's not representing us. Yeah. I wonder, is this my idea, or maybe I don't know if anybody's talking about it. But
who's the leader? Who would step out? Who do you have somebody in mind?
I think the funding is there. I think if you get the athlete, the LeBron, the Tyler Perry money, and you put it together, that's where a third party that'd be like, okay, this is where our interests are going to be addressed. We're going to have our own party.
Yeah, possibly, but people do not want to keep hearing about reparations. They don't want to keep hearing about how bad white people are. We're just so tired of that. And if this next third party is going to be based on that, they're not going to get anywhere.
I don't know if it'll be based.
It's got to be big tenets in their argument, though.
I think reparations. I mean, I'm for it because I think it solves a problem.
Where did he draw the line?
I don't know what.
What's the problem?
We made $3 trillion come out of thin air. Just for example.
So what's a biracial kid?
I know, but
so what's an extra? This I support. People are like, we really feel this way, and we feel like this is a problem. I'm a solutions person. I don't like victim mentality. I
solve this for us.
The problem.
Please do.
If giving $600 billion resolves that problem so that they don't have to keep blaming somebody for something, I'm all for it. Let's solve the problem. Let's see what happens.
We gave the Indians, can I say Indians?
Not anymore.
Native Americans, we gave them the land and the casinos, and we haven't solved any problem.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not, but it's like at least we're trying.
Is that an okay analogy? Is that politically
correct? At least we're trying to resolve the problem instead of just talking about the problem over and over and over again.
I have personally in the 80s when I was just beginning in my career in journalism and I was completely qualified to get the next full-time writing gig or reporter's beat job, and two magical words popped up: affirmative action, and I had never heard about them. And suddenly, me and a couple of guys who were completely in line after serving 7 years at that paper, the job should have been ours. And we were told, no, it's got to go to a black guy or a black girl. And I ripped the fucking bathroom apart when I heard that. It happened again 6 months later. Another black person got it. Whether they were ready for that job or not, I know I was, and I paid my dues, and I didn't get it. That pisses off a lot of people. So I don't like all this new stuff about let's give them more money. Let's do this. There's plenty of platforms for black folks and people who don't have enough money and can't survive. What's the word I look for? Safety nets for people to do better. We've done a lot of those things. Don't you think that particular part of our community abuses those platforms and has for many years?
Beck?
I think we're walking a fine line. I do think they should get reparations. I do think for the economy.
How do you do it? Who's they? How do you determine who? Like where?
So I don't know
what level for Native American, is that the term?
Indigenous.
Yeah, indigenous. It's 1/16, I think. Blood you have to prove to get some stake in something. How are we saying? 400 years ago, your great grandmother's a slave. Do you get a check? I don't know. I mean, how do we do that? How did Switzerland handle the Nazi reparations?
I don't get the
Germany
money.
did also.
Yeah, but that's more immediate. We're talking.
And they didn't go generation. They only went to the first generation that got the money.
So how do they do that? So they basically said, what
with Germany?
Yeah.
So like my grandmother got paid for Germany for her parents that got killed in the concentration camps. My mother and I don't get any money. So it stopped there.
What about when black families went on and prospered who had a slave in their family, and white people have been, not having a great time of it for a generation or two, then they've got to pay the black families who prosper. Like a poor white family's got to pay Chris Rock's family? That's a very strange dynamic.
So the point that I was making, though, is that even though I do believe in it, where does it stop? So when does the next group say, like, we're owed this? Like, it has to stop somewhere also.
It does. We have to have a solution. It's really complicated. I don't know if we're getting on the same page. I know California set up like an exploratory committee to waste taxpayer money, do anything like that. Yeah. We're going to bring in somebody else on the Political Junkeez Global Satellite Network. Chad McBain, do we have you in the house?
What up? How's it going?
All right, first question we have for you. Thoughts on last night, today, and where we're going? More specifically, the election.
Initial feeling is annoyed just because elections shouldn't take this long to process, count votes. So I saw a post from DC Drano on social media, and he said Florida has the third largest population in the country, and they got to count all their votes. Everything was accounted for within a day. So tell me why states with less population take several days to count these votes when they've had 4 years to prepare for something like this, when they knew the voter turnout was going to be insane. Every state knew that with everything going on in the country, with coronavirus, with the economy the way it is, with shutdowns, everybody was going to get out and vote. The votes were going to be astronomical this election. Tell me why states with the largest populations, California, Texas, Florida, New York, all these states, why are they able to declare winners within 24 hours, but these swing states are not? That's fishy to me, and that's why I'm annoyed. That's my first reaction.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, you know, when Florida went through their shit in 2000, they did redo their voting thing. That should have been a wake-up call for all of the states to think about how we do this. And if the states were going to say, like, okay, we're going to mail out our ballots and everything, and you haven't figured a way to count them on the back end, or you're going to not have hard deadlines, or you're not going to count for the military votes or any of that, you're right. That does contribute to the shit show, which can be avoided. Who were you rooting for currently or last night or
so
who did you
let me
vote
tell you
for?
something. I live in Los Angeles. I live in West Hollywood. I live in the most liberal city ever.
He does.
Honestly, I was 100% rooting for Trump. And the reason for that is, let me tell you, so my uncle lives in Orange County, okay? If you're familiar with the demographics of Southern California.
Yep.
Okay. Orange County is run by a 5-person group. 4 of them are Republicans. He told me yesterday that he is so sick of the chaos in this country. And I asked him, I said, what chaos are you dealing with in Orange County? Please enlighten me on the chaos that you're dealing with in Ladera Ranch, which is a predominantly Asian, Indian, white community, all retirement. There's no chaos in Orange County. And I said, let me tell you about Hollywood and Los Angeles. I live on Melrose and Orlando Avenue, okay? I have homeless. I live in a $5 million house. I have homeless 20 feet away. I have riots 20 feet away. I have looting. I have shit burning down, cop cars on fire 20 feet away a couple months ago. And the reality of the situation is West Hollywood is controlled and Los Angeles are controlled by Democrats. Orange County is controlled by Republicans. So he's sitting there and he's trying to tell me that there's chaos in the world. I'm like, bro, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly.
And
Great point.
Speaking of Orange County, shout out to friend of the program, Tito Ortiz, who won the Huntington Beach City Council.
Super exciting.
He did one. Were things boarded up in LA last night? Were they?
1,000%. I was driving through Beverly Hills and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I've asked people, I said, please show me videos of Trump supporters wearing their MAGA hats, burning shit down, looting, rioting. You show me a video. I have yet to see one. And the reality is these people are sitting here and they're like, oh, well, you know, there's going to be riots and looting if Biden wins. I'm like, I don't think so. You know why? Because Republicans have to get back to work. We have to get back.
There was rioting last night, right? I'm like, what are they rioting? There was some coverage of it.
DC.
It was a protest, and a lot of people are like, "Well, no, what about the Proud Boys?" And I'm like, "Well, people they show up. They show up to existing disturb. They don't cause them."
Yeah, but the rioting last night was because it was projected that Trump was winning.
Yeah, but it's like they were confused what to do. Like they're like, "Oh, well, are we mad or are we not mad?"
I know.
I also love that. Before the election, everybody was putting plywood up in New York and LA. I saw it all. And everything. A lot of shop owners would say, we support BLM. Well, clearly you're saying that because you think the left is going to come and rip open your business. No one's writing, I'm a white supremacist too. So they know where the crazy people are coming from.
Chad, were you aware or are you aware that with all that's going on and all the problems, Mayor Garcetti's primary job for the last 6 months has been co-chair of Biden's campaign?
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I was not aware of that.
He is co-chair of Biden's campaign, which means during a very, very complicated, tough time with everything going on in his own city, he decided to take a side gig for 6 months.
You know why? His wife is basically the mayor. Garcetti's wife is the mayor. He is so castrated in that capacity. She calls the shots.
But I mean, I think that's crazy. I think you'd be like, listen, I don't have time for this job right now with what's going on. And I agree with you. You go to things have never been worse over on the beach, Venice, Santa Monica, Marina del Rey. $5, $6, $7 million houses with
shitting on the street
with encampments in driveways.
Yeah.
Like it is
everywhere. And
everywhere.
And this is what I told my uncle who lives in Orange County. I said, bro, Garcetti took away $150 million. He defunded the police, the LAPD, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. They were defunded of $150 million here in Los Angeles. Crime has skyrocketed here. It's skyrocketed. And Kamala Harris actually praised Garcetti for taking $150 million away from the police and rerouting it into the communities. And I'm like, My community has gotten worse. What do you mean?
Last night's big news. No, last night's big news.
Where's the money going?
I'm sure Chad can agree. Last night's big news, if you live in California like I do, was it's time to go.
Yeah.
You gotta go, man.
Yeah, I think that's it. You're driving. You're
I don't blame you.
And that's why,
Musk, Joe Rogan, everybody's hitting the road. As Adam Carolla has really preached about for a long time, that Los Angeles County is fining and taxing and taking all the money out of the soccer moms and the people who look like they can pay it. If you look like you can pay it, we're gonna permit you to death, and if it looks like you can't pay it, you can do anything you want. And that is fucked up. You shouldn't pay your disproportionate share because you can.
The amount of encampments that are underneath overpasses on Cahuenga or what have you, it's the fact that they have hand sanitizing stations for homeless people, and yet other parts of beautiful neighborhoods in LA are just, there are people shitting, and like dogs watch out for human shit when they walk.
I know.
I don't get how they can't get that problem under control. And I mean, I feel like
I can tell you why. Pelosi,
Waters, that's the thing that bothers me is, California is supposed to be this state of progressive and they're compassionate, but they cannot get their number one problem, which is homelessness, under control. Like whether it's building houses or whatever they need to do for these people.
They throw enough money at it. They do. They just don't have a really good plan.
But it's just getting worse.
I think they will figure out a way, the way China got their shit together for before the Beijing Olympics to make the world look good.
Right.
Before the LA Olympics, they will sweep every problem away. So we're sort of have 8 years, I guess, to deal with that. But who's going to be gone by then? Chad, are you looking at real estate in Texas?
Sure he is.
So I actually own housing in Arizona, and what pisses me off is Arizona flipped blue, and the reason why that is because Maricopa County is the fastest growing county in the nation, and the reason why is because everybody from Los Angeles, everybody from Southern California, they're all going to Arizona because there's lower taxes, better state of living. Is it hot? Everybody's like, "Oh, you're from Arizona, it's hot." Yeah, it's hot, but you're not hanging out outside, okay? There's no natural disasters, there's no earthquakes. Taxes are low, real estate's low. I just bought my second house there, and my real estate is going through the roof because all these California people are coming in, and they're flipping the state blue, which pisses me off. But and I'm sitting here, I'm like, if you're fleeing California because of the cost of living, the taxes, the policies, do not bring that shit and that ideology to Arizona.
They do. Yeah, as the people in, somebody told me in Scottsdale a couple weeks ago, thank God for the 50 really hot days. It's the only thing that keeps everybody from California from moving here. Thanks, Chad. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey guys.
Thanks.
Take care.
So I got a tip today that Twitter is waiting for Trump to say one thing over the top that they deem completely irresponsible, and they're going to ban him for good, especially if he loses this election, which it looks like he's going to. And then he's off Twitter. Watch out when that happens. Watch out.
That's the fact that they are hold him to a different standard of what they flag and what they think than anybody else is.
Well, I'm banned for life
crazy.
for very different. I mean, I
banned
said
from
some.
Twitter?
Yeah, they got rid of me. They
did?
Oh yeah. You know why?
It wasn't a temp ban?
No, I got a couple of those. But then I said that one day I said radical Muslims throw gays off roofs and sometimes fuck goats, and that was too much.
Yeah, my friend who's a little bit out there,
isn't that true?
Deanna Lorraine, she got banned on election eve, which was like her biggest, her biggest thing. She was a congressional candidate. She said something just like that.
It's true.
You're going to get beheaded if you vote a certain way, and that was it.
Yeah.
Have you gone over to
no
an
Parler?
Yeah.
No. I just, it's a sewer of hate. I like Twitter for a simple reason, to catch up on seeing what a lot of people are thinking and stuff, or to promote. But I always ended up fighting with people over nonsense, and it's just a time suck. I don't need it.
You couldn't just open a new account?
No, they can't do it. I've tried that. They're like, no, we know who you are.
Oh, really?
Oh, we know who you are. Because I was blue checked and all that shit. Yeah.
Check back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point.
Otherwise, I would open up as some kind of Muslim name, and I'd be carte blanche. Say whatever you want.
That's true. See, that's going to get you banned in a second. So 1 year from today, where are we as a country?
I hope we're more united. One thing that's bothered me, and I see it happening on both sides, if people are just being mean to each other for voting different, for thinking different, And I feel like we're supposed to be, united for our differences, not separated, not divided for them. So
your hope.
That'd be nice.
So I hope that, the dust can settle in this election no matter what direction it goes in. And, we can go back to drinking till 3 a.m. together.
Well, that's a big thing.
Posting our favorite TV show memes and just, get back to
Vegas
life as
is
normal.
opening. Shows are coming back to Vegas.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Like, Absinthe is open.
Can Johnny Depp get a job in Vegas in a show, you think, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. You're optimistic that in 1 year we'll be better place as a country, or this is going to spiral out of control?
I don't know. As the pandemic goes.
Well, I don't know. Pandemic. Let's assume there's no pandemic.
Business. Okay. Well, if there's no pandemic, then we're life is normal. But like I said, the thing that bothers me about the pandemic is the selectiveness of what's essential versus non-essential.
Right.
You look at nightlife, for example, uses our business. You look at nightlife in Atlanta, and they've been open and slammed 7 nights a week since August. No masks.
I know.
No social distancing.
Yep.
You don't hear a thing about it.
No.
Why don't you hear about it? Because there's no cases rising because of this. And it's like if Atlanta can do it and show that it's successful, that should be a positive thing. We should just be like, hey, look what they're doing there. They must be doing something right. Maybe we should try it. And instead of just shutting it down like it's not happening.
Or it's just a virus that you can kick in 4 or 5 days like other viruses.
I mean, say what you want about Trump. He had the virus. He was in the hospital. He got out, and he was... You've never seen whatever drugs he's on, legal or not legal. The amount of energy he showed in the last 2 weeks at 75 years old was
like Bono.
Remarkable.
It was like a U2 tour the last couple of
whether
weeks.
you like Trump or not, you have to give a certain level of respect to
or
his
maybe
enthusiasm
we should all be
and how hard he
McDonald's.
worked.
Slam some French fries every year. I know.
Maybe he's on.
Now look, Chris Christie is pouring a bag of little M&Ms into a bag of big M&Ms, and he's going strong too.
Yeah, he seems
morbidly obese.
Fine too. Same question. In a year, like this anger that is coming out of the election. In one day, it seems calmer.
It does.
It doesn't seem, even the people on the right, there's some it's stolen or there's fraud. It could be a long shot. It seems like people, either way, at some point last night, resigned themselves to the outcome. I think both people got to peek through the mirror of what this could look like.
Because there was no landslide.
Yeah, I think people saw that. What do you think?
And because both sides had a win, I think that both sides can be happy.
Right.
Honestly, I hope that we are still divided.
Continue.
Why is that?
Basically, every topic that you guys have brought up is not why I voted. It was not the hill I died on to vote
the hill
red.
you died on?
So Kamala, for one of them, was the attorney general that passed SB 277 in California. I voted as a mother. I voted as a person that truly believes in body autonomy. They say they believe in body autonomy and women's rights when it comes to abortion, and it's bullshit. Because the minute that they want their vaccines mandated, which as proven by SB 277 that they want, my child does not have body autonomy anymore. I do not, you do not, you do not, and you do not.
Right.
So that's what I voted against. So
and that says what? SB 2. What is that mandate?
SB 277 is the California mandates for vaccines. So even if my child is vaccine injured, unless my child pretty much nearly dies, I have to continue vaccinating my child to school or homeschool or anything.
What if you're religious grounds? You can't.
Nope.
Not in California anymore.
No religious exemptions. 0.02, I think, medical exemptions go through.
Even seizures, you can't get exempt.
Correct.
If your child has a seizure, you
Really?
won't exempt
It is
you.
medical rape, and it's nothing else.
Terrible.
And so I will be one of them that has been censored now for a decade. I stand behind people. I'm at the rallies. I'm the one you see with the Via's vaccine movement, putting the signs on the side of the highway. 215 in Durango had it a few weeks ago. That we get censored continuously. We will keep fighting. I will keep pushing for division because I'm fighting for my children.
Yeah.
Sure you are. Good.
So division will draw attention that will cause some...
Well, I'm not going to concede to it.
No, I agree. I think it's a good cause. Because I'm not a parent, I'm not aware of these things. Yeah, that should be your choice. That's terrible. AJ.
Well, a year from now, as a two-part answer, I hope that if Joe Biden wins, and I'm leaning toward him probably pulling this off, He cannot continue the mask mandate and act as if that's the way we've got to live. I've got a son at home who's a terrific athlete who hasn't played sports in over a year, and it's so discouraging and so damaging to him that, and I was his coach for many years, it's disgusting. That can't be. However, a year from now, if Biden wins, I think he's out of office, Kamala Harris is in, and Donald Trump will appear as Jesus Christ for his followers, like he has had that kind of favoritism for the last 4 years and more. So he ain't going anywhere. The Democrats will look weak. Kamala Harris can't do shit. Joe's a feeble individual. And you're going to have a lot of people still wanting Trump, that kind of attitude in government.
I think there is going to be a little bit of people who expect things to. There's still going to be kids in cages, and there's still just doesn't change overnight.
Right.
We're making one more pitching change to the bullpen here. We're bringing in the talented rookie in the Laker jersey here.
Kobe jersey.
In the Kobe jersey.
Look at all the stuff Kobe missed, right?
Yeah.
Well, Kobe saw none of this stuff.
He's like, I'm out.
He's like,
our friend Gio Elmore in the house. Are you a Dodger fan too?
Yeah.
So you had a nice couple of weeks.
Yes, it's been a good time.
Are you a Ram fan too, or are you Raiders?
No, I was when I was a kid. That was my first team. Obviously, born and raised in L.A. But when the Rams moved to Anaheim, bye. And the Raiders moved in. Raider fan.
Sure.
There you go.
Living here.
They're badass.
Living the
Yeah,
dream.
I get it.
Raiders are here.
Yeah. Great stadium too, man.
Thoughts on where we're at and where we're going,
my God.
or where we were last night?
It's so weird. I am the worst case scenario here of I didn't really give a fuck who won because it really doesn't change my life.
I'm a little bit of that too. I care for the point of this show.
Yeah.
But 99% of people and 99% of the lives of 99% of the people are not affected by who's president.
Right.
They just like to pretend it is.
Right. And it's funny. I had, just like you, had a big switch when in 2016 and then in 2016, when he got elected, I was furious. Like, I almost broke up with my girlfriend because she voted for him. It was like, this was bad. I was like, Canada. I mean, okay, I was ready to go. But, like, it just, he wasn't that bad. I went from not being able to listen to him and to the point where I was like, he says some good things. Like, I mean, he's not the devil. Mm-hmm. And it just got to a point where I was just like, this is ridiculous. And I'm almost like, I'm in the center, kind of like London Thomas. Yeah. He's now way on the right. And I'm like, I'm starting to have some more conservative, perspective here. It's like, I want my liberty, I want it. The mask thing is driving me crazy.
It's terrible.
Like, I'm a target for the virus, right? I'm black, right? I mean,
how do you feel when people talk about the black vote or the way the black vote should go or anything?
I mean, earlier you guys were talking about the black community and the white community. What the fuck is the white community?
I can't stand it.
What is that?
I agree with you on that.
It's regarded, the black is regarded as a voting bloc. A big part of that is because they would bus people from the churches down to the polling space, and they could control that as a block. So that was always a thing, especially in the South. They did it to get Biden the South Carolina primary, which changed everything, was they loaded it all up, and they made sure all the black people voted the way they wanted to vote. And so that is, that would be offensive to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have only recently started to speak up about that in this cycle. It's like, well, wait, I might not vote for Biden, or I might not feel that way, or what are you doing for me?
Yeah.
Right, and it's really weird because it's like I grew up in mostly white neighborhoods. I went to mostly white schools, and my mother at some point in my upbringing, like college age, she's like, we need to move back into the ghetto so you can understand where you came from. So we moved to the bad part of town and went to the rough black schools.
You're like, no, I'm good. I don't think about it.
Yeah.
And it was not cool. So. And then she shipped me off to Howard University in D.C. Mm-hmm. So I got this kind of like, throw this guy in the deep end and let him swim. But like, it's like, I just don't get it. Like, there's stuff that, the common sense party, you talked about the party coming out of the black vote or the black community. what happens to the Common Sense Party? You know,
Thank
that's
you.
the party I want to get involved with.
Yes, that's it. I felt like I've always been a common sense advocate, and I was so blinded by TDS. I really was. Like, I hated Trump.
Yeah.
And you said, it was, you have to like start listening to him. He does say some stupid shit, like no one's going to deny that. But if you actually listen to his speeches, like you kind of understand that he makes some good points. He's not hateful in the way he talks.
Right.
You know, he is a lot of, he just says what he thinks,
So
and it just
what
comes
changed?
across.
Yeah.
What was it? One thing that changed, and suddenly you killed yourself of the TDS?
No, it was like a journey.
Oh, boy.
It was like a
12-step program?
It was a 12-step program for me. But the first of it, the very first thing was that bleach incident, where they're like, he's told everyone to drink bleach. And I couldn't wait to post something stupid about Trump, about, oh my God, I can't believe he's telling people to drink bleach. And I didn't see the clip. So I actually Googled the clip, and I watched the full thing.
Yeah.
And after I watched it, I was like, what are these people talking about?
Exactly.
Right. Some people,
Like,
they
never told
mistake
anyone to
his
drink bleach.
riffing
Even
for
the handicap guy thing, he has done that move and that attitude for like 10 other people he considers assholes. It's not like I'm making fun of a guy with a bad arm. But it looked bad, but that's not what he was doing.
And most people aren't offended by that.
And
then
most
one
people
day
do that.
you looked in the mirror.
Then I watched the American Dream documentary on Netflix, and I wouldn't have allowed myself to watch it before, but I was like, okay, if this, I want to see kind of who is this president, how he even got elected. And so I watched it, and there was a lot of things that I realized, not that he, the first, that he's not racist, that he really did empower women, especially in the 80s and 90s. He was super progressive with that. And then, he's a narcissist. Yes, you can definitely take that away from it.
Sure he is.
But this guy fights like hell for shit that he wants. And like, you have to have a level of respect for that, just that he does not take no for an answer. I'm not saying right now in the election, it might not be good that he doesn't take no for an answer yet.
He does have balls, and he is the alpha guy in the room, in a room full of alpha guys a lot.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the black community really likes that. That's sort of as Claudia Jordan said earlier, that machismo. I mean, he's fucking
You should have
ballsy.
seen him in New York when I was there in the 90s with him at the table, and every black rapper had to be near Trump and put his name in the songs, and he was cutting checks for black dudes who were opening up clubs and shit. So when I hear the racist stuff, it drives me crazy. Yeah. Outside of the fact that him and I dated the same black girl, outside of that, it's like he's not racist, man. All of us have this kind of thing about this whole new thing about we have to teach anti-racist. It's not enough that you're not racist. You got to be anti-racist. There's books for little children called The Anti-Racist Baby. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
You got a black neighbor, it's all good. I hopped in a black guy's car tonight. I wasn't fucking scared of him. Gio's going to pick me up. Let's go. First thing I said was, do I got to wear a mask? He goes, fuck no. Good. We're on the same page.
All right. As always, thank you, Kalika. We're going to sub in one more reasonable voice here. I think he's reasonable. Adam Lieberman, he's been waiting to chime in on this show for many, many episodes. He sits here.
A lot of pitching changes tonight.
First time caller. He's in the hot seat tonight. And I'm going to start off by asking you the same question. Thoughts? How do you feel? What reaction to the last 24 hours and the next 24 hours?
I went to sleep last night thinking that Trump was going to be the president for 4 more years. Really did. And got up this morning about 6 o'clock, looked at my phone, and holy shit, things change.
Yeah.
Things change overnight. So this is the first election I voted in probably 16 years, I would say. And I did vote for Biden. And somebody asked me the other day, why did you vote for Biden? Did you vote for Biden or did you vote against Trump?
Yeah.
I voted against Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
I voted against Trump. And I think there should be a Republican in the White House. I don't think it should be Trump. And that was my take on it.
That's an honest point. A lot of people voted against Trump.
Right. And so when you went to bed, you're like, oh, fuck. Win some, lose some.
It was where one of the big things for me was, and I don't know how much truth is behind it, was Social Security. My mom's on Social Security. They're saying now possibly with Trump that by 2023, Social Security would run out. And that was a big thing. That's how my mom pays her rent every month.
Sure.
So that was an issue for me.
And that didn't come up enough. And I think that's a reasonable issue. How did you vote? Mail?
I didn't actually. Well, I dropped it off at the polling location.
Did you wear a sticker?
I did not.
Did you wear a mask?
Yes, absolutely.
Mask and
but you know the way I am with masks. I am
just a joke.
Yeah, I'm all for.
You're off a mask?
I'm not. It's not that I'm all for masks. It's again.
Well, I think it's about your mom, right?
It's about my mom, and that's where.
I get that.
That's
My
the
parents
priority.
are dead. I don't have to worry about that, but I get it.
That's my priority, you know, and that's where I change my whole tune. For me personally, if I didn't have my mom in my life,
are masks?
I get it.
Something we're going to be a little bit more like the Asians, and every time flu season rolls around, and the Asians do it differently. They do it. If I'm sick, I'm putting on the mask to let you know
that's the way it's supposed to be.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
In 5 years from now, are we going to look back on 20 people and 20? It's like, was that the time we wore the fucking masks, or do you think it's now a part of seasonal? It's mask season.
I think it's the way America's going to be, sadly, because we have a guy in Biden. If he wins, who's going to push it? He can't back off now. It's what he said constantly. They're going to push that like crazy because it's all about big government making sure we follow rules, and the more we follow rules and depend upon their advice and their help, they can mold us and shape us and have us put ourselves in positions that are not so beneficial for us down the road, but we need them. Having to wear a mask means we need them. Don't see your face. Look, I'm an Italian kid. You can't tell me in Thanksgiving, don't have more than 2 families over your house. Put fucking masks on between
singing.
bites.
No singing.
Don't talk too loud. Get the fuck out of here, Gavin Newsom. You have any idea what it's like to be in a house with a Latino house, a black house, an Italian house? So all we do is yell and scream.
and you have to be outside.
Yeah, and you got to be
Make sure you're
outside too. Such lunacy.
Do you have any concerns if it's a Biden administration? What is your biggest worry? Do you have any?
My biggest worry is that more giant chunks of socialism are going to keep being pushed down the throats of Americans, and I don't know why anybody who voted for them.
But does the Mitch firewall? Give
Yeah,
you any
that's
comfort?
oh God. If without that, forget it. Of course, that's going to stop a lot.
All right, we're also bringing in one more on the Political Junkie Satellite Network. Megan Riddle's joining us. She's the host of the Careful You podcast. She's neither left nor right. She thinks our votes don't matter. Is that a fair assessment? Megan, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Do our votes not matter?
Yeah, I would definitely say that our votes do not matter. It's unfortunate.
And how do you explain that? What do you mean by that?
Well, there's a couple of things that I stumbled across. The first one being Clinton Curtis. He ended up testifying in front of Congress and said that in 2000, he was actually hired to write a prototype to rig elections. So
really?
That's one of the reasons. Yeah, that was back in... I'm sorry,
what happened with this prototype? Did he wrote it, but did anything come of that?
Oh, yeah.
And were they to rig American elections or to rig global elections?
American elections.
Because we're allowed to talk here. We rig a lot of fucking elections.
Sure.
We're whining about Russian and Chinese influence. We are involved in every
Forget
election
elections.
around the world.
We rig everything.
We rig everything.
Yeah.
So you didn't vote, but did you pay attention? Did you have a rooting interest?
I definitely paid attention to politics, of course, like the last 4 years, and especially with the pandemic. If I had to choose between both of them, obviously I see that they're just two sides of the same coin. But with Trump, he is more transparent with the way that he likes to speak to everyone and usually likes to tweet everything out. So that is a little bit better than Biden. But honestly, I can't vote for either people. They are very bad people, in my opinion.
So what should we have? I'm kind of hoping we have a monarchy, because then we just all can be mad at one person collectively. We either have a good king or a bad king.
We want you on Queen Empress Pelosi.
Sort of I go to I go to Thailand a bunch.
Yeah.
And the king until 2 years ago was awesome, and they loved him. He died, and now the idiot son is a pain in the ass. And I love being a part of understanding, we all hate the son now. This is good. It was really sort of
it's camaraderie.
Yeah, it was a camaraderie.
Yeah,
there was a certain sauce that we're all on the same side. We all love the king, or we all hate the king. So monarchies are. So I'll ask you, Megan, the same question. In 1 year, where will we? Do you believe where will we be as a country? As a peoples?
Well, that's kind of a hard question. In 1 year, anything can happen. I personally feel like, of course, Biden is going to win. And I kind of feel like with Trump, the QAnon followers are just going to go bonkers over this whole thing because they've been all on social media telling everybody that, the Democrats are nothing but pedophiles. And Trump is the savior of the children.
That's an excellent point. I was literally going to ask AJ that. Do you think, liberated from any sort of remaining PC obligations, he falls into that? Any conspiracy theory fringe, like he is the voice of that now?
I don't think he could help what happened. That there are a large group of people, QAnon, decided to make Trump this guy.
He likes that shit.
Everybody would.
He lives it up.
Everybody would. We'd all love to be thought about as this mystical person. I'll tell you what, I don't know a president before, and I'll guarantee you Biden, if he wins, ain't going to continue. There hasn't been a president that's ever took more seriously sex slavery, child slavery than Donald Trump.
I agree, but he also gets a kick out of the fringe theories. He likes it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want groupies? Who doesn't want that whole feeling?
He is going to stir the shit at every opportunity.
He ain't going away.
He is not going to. That's the thing that he's really going to feel like. The stuff he will be retweeting without being
if they keep him on Twitter, and I don't think they will. He'll start his own. He'll start his own platform.
He'll start his own, and that's true. That's a good point. All right, thank you, Megan. Stay safe.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Keep listening. Keep watching. Whatever. Is London? Do we have London? 10 minutes. All right, London's coming in. What can Biden do that's going to give you confidence? Because for 47 years,
he's done nothing.
He has done nothing. But he's sort of middle of the road. He really doesn't have this radical left history.
No.
And a lot of people are like, well, it's different now, and he's been put into place, and there's people going to do it. What do you want to see him do in the first 100 days?
Die. Leave.
But then you
that's good. Then let's show all the assholes who voted that way what the fuck you put us in. Let's show you that you wanted a girl who was polling at 2%, who people in Washington can't stand. She has no friends. This was a big sham because everybody thought you've got to get a woman of color. It's all bullshit. If he would have went with Elizabeth Warren, you guys, first of all, they would have killed Trump. They would have killed him. Biden and Warren would have went bonkers over Trump. You bring in Kamala Harris, and if she brings nothing, and then she puts the equity versus equality thing out yesterday. Oh, is that not a communist manifesto? That's everything America is not. This is very dangerous.
So you want to let's
have it out. I'm the same way with coronavirus. Give me it. Let's go. I'm sick of being worried about it. Give me a shot at it. I'll spend 5 days in bed. I'll knock it out, and I'll be back on my feet.
So
Let's
you're
go with Kamala.
You're licking doorknobs. You're out there.
No, I don't do that. I just live life. I live life. I don't go too crazy. I wear a mask indoors because I'm supposed to, but I don't care. I don't care. It's all good. We have to get our immune system strong. That's how we survive. Especially my kids staying home, not doing shit. It's so detrimental.
And I think the country is going to shut down again.
They will.
You do.
Absolutely.
They will.
Absolutely.
And all those mom
and
pops.
You don't think that when?
Within the next...
Well, we have
4 to 8
months.
weeks.
I would say 3 months. Within 3 months.
I'm with you.
So first month of his administration is going to shut us down?
Absolutely.
He's made those kind of comments.
I do think that.
I agree, but I don't know if he said that to get elected. We're going to wear masks to get elected. It looks like I'm going to do something. I think there's something that we might have the vaccine
Spain,
by then.
Italy, England.
And it's not. I think we'll know in 3 months that didn't do anything either.
Right. No.
For them.
They're gonna, and they're gonna blame everything. I think of Vegas. You're opening these shows. You have to have this 25-foot moat in the front.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it has to be 25 feet from the front of the stage to the first audience member.
Wow.
These Cirque shows, they can't survive.
No, Cirque's
they're not.
Cirque can't, yeah.
Well, everybody files for bankruptcy nowadays.
I know, but still.
But you have Carrot Top, going back into Luxor on Friday night.
He is?
And for 200 people.
Yeah, I don't know.
You've been going out again with Love Debate. I mean, the crowds.
We did a show.
I know. Are they filling up? Or
well, it's limited capacity, and 5 minutes in, people forget. and they're laughing and they're back. The health benefit of people feeling normal for 90 minutes is so valuable to people, and get them out of the house and just getting their personality back. You could see it in the room.
Sure.
People are like 10 minutes in, they're worried, like we don't want to laugh too hard. And then they get it back. What do you think we have? So it's 10 weeks that Trump will have left. Is that about right for between that and inauguration time?
Roughly.
What do you think he will do or not do in the let's just assume the court battles end in 3 weeks. Okay, that leaves him 7 weeks as a lame duck. What do you think's going down?
I don't know what king presidents do in that.
They can pardon shit. They can executive order all kinds of shit. They could
but is he spiteful like that?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
No, but I'm talking about I know for business wise.
Yeah.
But is he going to be that spiteful
I think
on
so.
a country
I
he still has to live in?
I think he's going to make Bill Barr do shit. I think he's going to say we need to get this investigation out.
That's the other thing. We've been hearing about all these people that are hanging there who are guilty of this, guilty of that, and I sat back for months going, this is all great news, but when are these people going to face the music? Well, listen. If he doesn't pull this out, trust me. I know this guy. I always told you, he says he's a counterpuncher. He throws the first punch plenty. I've been the victim of it. He will come at those people to try to get them convicted and make their lives hell. And I'm all for it.
He will.
And that's the only reason he spoke last night. The only reason he spoke last night, exactly what you just said.
That's a good point.
It's because Biden came out and said, we are in a good position right now.
Yeah.
If he hadn't come out and said that, Trump would never have gone out.
Yeah, he wasn't going to speak.
He was not going to speak.
He's like, I'll see your ace and I'll raise it.
Trump is fiscally conservative. He is not morally conservative, trust me. So expect some crazy shit.
Because every decision he has made to date, pretty much from the time he got inaugurated, was to get reelected.
Yeah.
Now, without that as a concern and liberated to do all kinds of shit for 7 to 10 weeks, is it scorched earth?
For certain people, sure.
See, and now in this case,
man.
I hope that for the country's sake, that we don't know who's going to win this election until January.
Right.
So he can't.
Well, it's been built. Fauci's gone.
Yeah.
Fauci's gone. That's going to be one of the first ones. This is like when Michael Corleone's at the baptism and all the family heads get killed. This is it right now. Fauci is like Mo Green and the glasses on the massage table, bullet through the eye. He's gone.
There was a scenario last night, and it almost played out. And that one, I made jokes about earlier, that one Omaha, Nebraska electoral vote.
Oh, that one random that split.
So important.
If it was 269,
wow.
Then it goes to the House, where each state gets a vote. The way the House is set up now, it would have been 25-25. Then it goes to the Senate, which could have been... And we didn't have like a fourth tiebreaker like the NFL does or whatever. It would have been like, you got to keep... Because it's happened way back in the day where it's like, you got to vote again, you guys.
Oh, my God.
Like, try and figure it out. It's not like the Senate breaks. It's a whole system that we were into the... That was really...
Oh, yeah.
That's the dream of like hardcore political people.
Yeah,
It's like, we get to see that. All the mechanisms were in place. That one weird vote, the way they do things in Nebraska.
On a positive note, isn't it really good, on a positive note, that the last two elections have come down to it, right down to the goddamn wire. Even when Trump beat Hillary, those 0.3% in certain states, and I think that's good that we're meeting head on.
I think that's good, but what a big defeat would do, like just a wipeout, even when it's in
like
midterms,
a Reagan thing, yeah.
It would make one of the two parties have to completely rethink, and it would almost be like getting a new party. They would have to rethink how they do things. They have to rethink what their platforms are, and how do we sort of get back in the game. Both parties now are in this sort of split. There's sort of the Trump faction of the Republican Party. There's sort of the old school Republican Party. There's the progressive Democrats.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
So we almost have four parties that are disguised as two parties.
Yeah.
A wipeout would have caused a real reckoning, and I'm not sure this is going to change much.
But you know, the interesting thing is some of the state elections as well. North Dakota, guy gets elected. He's been dead for 30
days.
A
dead guy.
A dead guy.
It's unbelievable.
Then you look at Alabama. Tommy Tuberville gets elected as a senator. If you're not familiar with Tommy Tuberville,
he's not even a popular football coach.
No, he has no experience in politics whatsoever. He was the head football coach at Auburn.
Well, that'll do it.
There you go.
Popularity. When I was a kid, my parents told me, vote for the Italian person. Vote for the good-looking guy. When I was a kid, like first voting, 18, 19, he's Italian, vote for him.
Well, somebody said, I'm going to vote the person who has more Instagram followers.
Oh, well, why not? That's everywhere. That's everything in life right now.
All right, we're going to bring in our old co-host, London Thomas, in a few seconds. I want to have final thoughts of you guys. We're gonna bring in these guys for their final thoughts. Final thoughts, AJ.
Final thoughts or final hopes?
Either. Okay. Your thought can be a hope.
Final thoughts are, well, my final hope is that everything that's about to happen is going to happen. We're not going to have a clear winner in the next day or two. Everything's going to be contended by Trump, which is his legal right, which is what the Democrats would do as well. I like a fight. Trump's been a fighter his whole life. I like my guy, and if it gets down to that, then I think we win.
All right. Fair enough.
But I give Biden.
So you still think Trump can pull this out?
Absolutely. Especially we getting Arizona back and that kind of stuff. Yes, I do.
Well, one thing that McConnell said today, they asked him what he thought about what Trump said. Whenever he goes, we're just going to let the way the system's supposed to work, and we're going to let the lawyers handle it.
There you go.
That's what he said. Yeah. It wasn't like the board. He just said we're going to let the lawyers handle it. I was like, what?
Exactly.
All right, Gio, final thought.
I kind of agree with you, Brian. I hope that it just moves back to the middle and nothing happens. And it stays normal.
We don't think about our president every day.
Yeah.
I can't even remember that. I can't remember that.
I can't remember that. That's a time like that. Yeah, some people are going to miss it. Adam, final thought.
My final thought is just I hope that whatever happens, Trump, Biden, whoever, it's just peaceful.
Yes.
And not the violence and everything that has taken place over this last year. COVID put a lot of pressure on a lot of people, and hopefully that's resolved and we can move forward.
That sounds good to me.
All right, one more shift change here.
I'm out.
Looks like SNL. Thank you, AJ.
You got it.
Stay safe. There's we're bringing in volleyball change for final thoughts from these guys, and then we're going to bring London in on the Political Junkeez satellite network. Mike we put Mike in a timeout. He got to hear a few things. Something that we didn't get to while you were here earlier, or something that you were dying to say from sitting across the room.
Something that I think is really important, reparations got brought up, and I think reparations are an incredibly politically, it's just a politically charged word. What we should demand as Americans is that we are going to become the most educated country in the world. We're going to address some of the issues that negatively affect the inner city, which obviously negatively affects the black community, like a true look at the war on drugs, a true look at how rich people can buy good lawyers and poor people get... I've been in trouble as a kid. I didn't have any money. I had public defenders, and I went through that whole thing. I know all about it. And then someone gets in trouble when I got a little older. I had money, and that changes things drastically.
Wait till you get older and have money to commit crimes.
So what I think we do is we don't call it reparations. We literally get together as a country and we talk about how we can make ourselves better. And one of the things that not only will drastically help the inner city community, the poor communities, which is obviously communities of color, is to focus on education, focus on law enforcement reform, and focus on the war on drugs. And if and also another big part of it is healthcare. When you're not provided healthcare, you're out on the fringes. You don't feel like you're part of the community because you just assume that you're off in the waste and you don't have access to mental health care. If we get serious about mental health care and health care for all Americans, being the smartest country in the world, having the best education system in the world, and then also taking care of the war on drugs, we won't need to call it reparations. All ships will rise and America will be better for it.
Well, who wouldn't vote for that? Oh, wow. 2024, right around the corner. Joe, final thought. And you can go... Can
I go off?
Off.
That's all I want to say, so I'm good.
Off.
Okay. This is your time to go off.
Okay, we were talking about coronavirus a little bit. I would like to address something that's, I think, incredible that came out last week. General Flynn, Trump's former top national security advisor, put out a tweet where he talks about an NWO plan to destroy humanity. And his brother put out a separate tweet listing all the evidence to this. And I think that it's true. There is a
General Flynn has a Twitter account?
Absolutely, he does. Yep. And he didn't start tweeting until recently.
Yeah, and did it get taken down?
It did not get taken down. You can still read it. You can still read it. You could go to his brother's tweet, which links to a website, which goes piece by piece, detail by detail. We're talking, go to the World Bank website. They were talking. They were ordering COVID tests before COVID in 2017. You can still look at it. Rothschild's patents issued in 2015 for COVID-19. I mean, it's all listed there. The evidence is there.
We're going to have to get into all that.
That's a deeper topic, but I think it's relevant to everything that's going on.
All right.
Our lives are being destroyed by this process.
This is relevant to everything that's going on because this type of conspiracy theory is what is leading to the true division in our country right now.
No, because I'm speaking truth and you're just speaking,
well, I think
nonsense.
we've talked about that on the show before. Conspiracy theories rise in the absence of information that you can trust.
So time out. If we had Einstein here and he was aware that we had the entirety of human knowledge in our pocket at all time, and that's what happens, that's the problem.
Okay, so are you disputing the patent?
You threw so much craziness at us right there that I really honestly don't know where to start. Like, you'd have to list it all out, and I just listed it. Well, no, out of respect for you, you kind of say 50 things, and I'm sitting here kind of listening.
So grab one.
Yeah, take one.
Pick one fruit off that tree.
So we're right back to the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds are involved in a massive conspiracy to take down humanity.
Do you want to see the patent?
This has been going on for, 100 years? Which one?
The
you want to show me a
patent for the coronavirus test?
I will literally, when we were off this podcast, I will literally review every single thing you say to me. I don't think we're doing anyone any favors right now by going deep into how once again for in 200 years the Rothschilds are trying to take down humanity. Batshit crazy.
Sure, okay, we can go there. But one question though, Bill Gates goes on the TV every week and he says 7.8 billion people need to take the vaccine to get their lives back. Okay, we can at least look at that question right there.
Yeah.
That makes absolutely no sense for a virus with a 99% survival rate.
Yeah, I have no idea whether that would or wouldn't. I would honestly say that Bill Gates doesn't wake up every morning trying to figure out a way to screw over humanity. I think that's a pretty safe assumption.
But he does say 7.8 billion people need to take the vaccine
it's
to return their life.
It's weird the way he's on the vax for this.
So Bill Gates is involved in a conspiracy to hurt humanity.
We have another guest here on the Political Junkie Satellite Network. Our old friend Heidi Liddell is joining us from I don't know where.
Hey.
Colombia, the country, yes. Bogota,
yes,
Medellin. Medellin. What are you doing down there?
Oh, I'm
can they take Americans can travel?
I guess, yeah.
You're like, I made it. Wow.
Yeah, I made it here. We were required to have a negative COVID test. So, I mean, as long as you have that, I think you can travel.
I like that. Just like you can have a negative COVID test, then you can have a going away party before you leave the night before with all your friends and then go. So it doesn't make any sense. Were you able to watch the election stuff from down there?
I was watching some of it, but I am in a hotel with we came out here for stem cells. Chuck Liddell, my husband, he's getting, dealing with some different injuries to his body from fighting and whatnot. So we're doing stem cells at and we're at this hotel and there's not a whole lot of direct TV connection. So I was just getting what I could from the internet and updates from friends just to make sure I was getting stuff that was local and not just from here. But ironically, Colombia is obsessed with what's going on in our political presidency election right now.
Yeah, so I'm sure. I saw the way Japan.
More tuned in.
All these countries are.
Yeah, all these countries are. A lot of countries. That brings up a good point. A lot of countries. Is it Great Britain that they have like a hard 6-week campaign cycle and that's it? A couple countries they limit campaigning time.
So they do, and I mean, just generally in Europe, there's just different ways that they handle campaign finance, and there's probably a lot of things that we could learn from that.
We like the entertainment, though. It's 2 years of entertainment.
It's very entertaining and pretty ridiculous in the UK as well. And if you look at 2016 here, not only was it very similar to the Brexit campaign, but it was also the same people in the background. I mean, Bannon was involved in both, and Cambridge Analytica were obviously involved in both, and they lost the case over there. Their approach is going in the wrong direction. The UK has a lot of issues with the way that they deal with their elections. It's definitely not perfect over there at all.
So Heidi, your thoughts on? I assume you've read a paper today or something. You know what's going on?
I read a little bit. But when I went to sleep last night, basically Trump was in the lead in all of kind of the key swing states that he needed for the race, and it was looking like a Trump victory. I mean, everyone was all like, yeah, Trump, and Trump's gonna win and all this stuff. I get all these texts from different people. And I know that around sometime late last night, they halted. The networks were doing live updates, and then all of a sudden they halted the counting.
Yes.
Am I getting that correct? And
that is fairly accurate. Yeah.
Mysteriously, like overnight, at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, there's all kinds of extra votes that came in just for Biden in a couple different states, and it was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
I had a lot of anxiety leading up to this, and then I thought that I would wake up and find out that someone was elected president, and only to find out that it's a disaster.
Yeah, that's a good point. I stayed up, so I saw sort of the shift. I remember back in 2000, that was the craziest thing I ever saw, was the Bush-Gore thing, where they took it down off the board and then they retracted the concession and all that. That was a wild night. Last night had a lot of, like I said earlier, both sides really experienced. Early on, it looked like Florida and Ohio were going a certain way, and then it looked like all Trump was going a certain way. And so I think both sides had at least an hour and a half to deal with the emotions of this might not go the way I want it to go. And I think that was a healthy thing. I think that let a little bit of air out of the tires so people weren't so on edge. I think that was a good. So you're rooting for Trump, or you were? Is that right?
Yeah. I was, yeah. And at this point, I definitely hope that Trump wins. I from all the information I've gotten and everything I've seen, I feel like there's been a lot of, issues with the voting and the mail-in ballots. And I know that Trump was winning Florida and they didn't call that, which I thought was odd. But meanwhile, voting hadn't been done in other states and they were called for Biden. I don't know. The whole thing, just the way
it was a little weird on something like that. So your biggest concern or biggest hope for the next year?
My biggest concern is that, America can get back to a place where we're all united. And we are the diverse America that I know, and where, anything is possible no matter where you come from. My concern is, can we get back to that? And can we love our neighbor again and move past this whole thing? I think we can.
All right, good. All right, stay safe down there. Behave, and we'll talk to you when you come back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, final thought, Becky. We brought you in for a final thought.
Okay, I'll keep this quick. I'm like the female version of Joe Maz over here. And I got a little fired up. But so we have the mainstream media over here because his direct quote was, oh, these conspiracy theories, we're talking about these aren't helping anybody. That's why these conspiracy theories are out, because the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about anything. So we are digging up information, blah, blah, blah. So there's common terms with pedophilia. Pizza, spaghetti, ice cream that I can look up myself and I can know 5 minutes ago. But apparently when Kamala Harris has to interview Obama, the only thing she can talk about with him, or one of the main topics she talks about, is how much Joe Biden loves pasta and ice cream, which are two super common pedophilia terms. Let's say Joe Biden's not a pedophilia in any way, shape, or form. Enough people question it that if you're that fucking stupid to bring it up, and if you're that fucking stupid to bring it up in the one interview you do with the former president, you're too dumb to run the nation at that point.
I hope everyone just listened to that right there. Everyone, please heard that right there.
That whole thing is above my pay grade.
Because we're good. Because you're going to get cheers from cause over here. That's not ridiculous.
I will say this.
Because that's ridiculous.
But I will say this. A lot of things, and we talked about the Hunter Biden thing, are not allowed. They get snuffed out before the conversation is allowed to take place. I'm not sure that's the conversation, but there's a lot of things that are just like, you can't bring this up. And that's happened a lot even with the COVID stuff, where I'm like, well, have we really gotten a test about the mask?
So no, this is important because it's not that people can't bring things up, but when things get brought, when someone brings something up and they look at it, and basically even people on the right looking at the Hunter Biden situation, it's like, wait, where did this come from? What are we actually looking at? Wait, you had emails for a year, but we don't actually get the emails that would have the metadata. We just get the PDFs. Like, once that shit happens, everyone goes, come back to us when you have something real, because we're not going to waste our time on it, because we're not imbeciles.
Okay, okay, but
I mean,
there's still,
this is serious.
It got to that point. You're right. Final thought? Try and top that one.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm going to try to stick on topic, I guess, of the election, just because that's what we're all talking about today. Final thought is, I think no matter who wins, we'll see people's, people are like, your true character comes out by who you're voting for. And I think your character should be based on how you treat people, not how you vote. And I don't like this judgment of, you vote for them, you must be this way, and you try to put people into a box. So I think we're going to see people's true character come out on how they win or how they lose. So, if like I said, if Trump wins and everyone's like, oh, red wave MAGA 2020, like he didn't win enough for you to have those bragging rights.
Yeah.
And same with Biden. Like, if Biden wins, he didn't win enough for the blue side to have the bragging rights. So I think everyone needs to be respectful that half of the country did vote differently than you. Half the country does think differently than you. And whether you agree with them or not, you have to at least respect them, be polite about it, be a good winner, be a good loser. Let's all try to move on and come together.
We'll talk about it later over pizza and ice cream.
Yeah.
What?
Can't say that word.
All right, final guest here on the Political Junkeez Satellite Network, the co-host of Political Junkeez, London Thomas from, I believe, Atlanta. Are you coming from Atlanta?
What's going on, everybody?
How are you?
Yep, I'm in Atlanta. I'm great.
Are the votes counted? Are the votes counted?
I believe so. Who knows, bro? I guess.
We're Nevada. It's the same here.
Well, did they do another? Did they do another drop, or we don't know? We're waiting on Atlanta. Or...
Who knows? A box of Biden votes might show up out of nowhere.
Well, give us your thoughts on the last 24 hours and your thoughts for the next 24 hours.
Total chaos, Brian. And I told you, like, man, I went to work out last night. Trump was up like gangbusters. I come out of the gym 2 hours later, and the next thing I know, somehow Biden's come back and taken certain states. Then they don't call Florida, and I know Florida is in the bag. They don't call it. Then they call other. Like I heard what Heidi said. I'm like, it's the same thing. I had to almost block things out because it was so chaotic and so all over the place, and I knew it would be. But what really frightens me, Brian, to be quite honest with you, is that look, I got no problem with if it's a party change and we go from one party to the next. I was a Democrat for years. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. But I am a little nervous about the fact that I think we are about to find, if it does go Biden's way, we're about to have a completely ideological shift in the way our country has been run. That kind of frightens me.
Is that necessarily a bad thing, or is our country sort of designed to have an ideological shift every 4 or 8 years?
No, our country is based on certain principles and certain foundation, which is the Constitution. So we're a constitutional republic. That's how it was created. And every time you start doing things non-constitutional and it doesn't go with the Constitution, and you want to go more in a radical socialist kind of way, I don't find that good. And when you're talking about the Green New Deal and you actually want to implement that, that's not really boding well, I don't think, with where we are as a country. I don't think it's affordable. I don't think that it's ideologically the way we want to go. And there's other leftist things that you talk about a person from the left. So I already know how the left thinks. And getting back in the Paris-Climate Accord, where no one else has to come up with any money, we got to come up with everything. China's never held accountable. India's never held accountable, but we got to, there's just so many things, bro, that bother me, that kind of frighten me. if we do go in that direction. So now I'm not a happy camper right now.
Were you surprised and or pleased the way the black vote at least increased for Trump?
Yes, that was. It's kind of good to see people thinking outside the box for a change, and this 95% voting one way. I mean, who does that? This monolithic way of thinking is kind of crazy. So it was really good to see people finally thinking outside the box and looking at what works best for them and not what works best for some crazy group that doesn't think properly. So I was happy to see that.
All right. Final question for you that I've asked everybody else today. 1 year from today, where do you think we are? Total chaos. The optimist.
Next month, I don't even know if we're gonna make it to next year, bro. I told you this, Brian.
Yeah, you did.
Listen, I'm looking at civil war here. I'm serious. You guys, you guys think this is not where we are right now? It's not really a joke. You got people who they're not gonna go for Joe Biden as their president. They're just not. The dude is he's incapable of finishing a conversation without saying some crazy shit. Like crazy shit. And as a black man,
we haven't had one speech from Donald Trump in 4 years that doesn't result in chaos.
I know, but
as a black person, I have a problem with the person telling me if I don't vote for him, I'm not black. That alone.
Yeah, I agree. That was a stupid comment. That's a stupid comment.
Not to mention a few other things he said that are crazy, but that alone, I'm totally offended by that.
Does the GOP controlling the Senate calm those fears at all? Because it'd be tougher to get stuff through? Will that allay your fears?
To be honest with you, the GOP reminds me of the DNC. It's like a wrestling match. The reason why nothing's ever got done is they're all on the dome. They're all been selling the country out until this man can't. It's a game. It's pay for play.
Not Trump though.
Nothing. So it's like they at one point we had the Congress, the Senate, and the presidency, and these fools couldn't get anything done. So you think I think they can get something done now? No.
What do you think? What do you think Trump is doing 1 year from today?
That's a good question. Oh, wow.
Worrying about himself, telling lies daily.
Who knows?
Do you think the criminal investigations will go away for the good of the country? Do you think they'll put pressure on New York to just let that shit go?
Absolutely not. I think they should absolutely go after him. I think, and as an American citizen, I'm sitting here, I'm watching the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. He guts that. Like he's just attacked us in so many ways. Go at him, and if he's guilty of a crime, and if Joe Biden's guilty of a crime, go after them, and they should be charged to the fullest extent of the law. But
all right, thank you, London. Stay safe. Everybody
good to
else,
see you guys.
This was fun. This was good. This volleyball style show. As always, listen, share, subscribe, review, and tell your friends about it. And we will see you next time on Political Junkeez.